Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I feel like it's been a while since I've been on live, so I am so excited to be here to talk to you. I figured I'd give you all a little break since I was on so much for a while. But yeah, just like super happy to be back here and be talking with you. I'm really excited to talk about this topic, which is the biggest mistake that a lot of people are making that's stopping them from getting sales. So sales are definitely something that have been in the forefront of what I've been teaching and talking about lately. You guys know that the process I teach is called value-centered sales, which is about a lot of different ways of owning, claiming, naming our value, giving value, etc., but doing sales in a value-centered, service-based way that doesn't just like equate to us always doing things for free or always taking the discount, but doing sales in a way that gives that equal energy exchange of value. So value-centered sales ultimately is about starting, getting, and keeping the sale. So starting the sale off, right? Having a way to get it and then keeping it on the back end, right? So once someone says yes, making sure they sign the contract, they pay, they stay a client, all of that good stuff. So what we want to talk about, like when we're what we want to think about when we're thinking about value-centered sales, and what I just want to start this with or caveat this with if you're watching, is that ultimately value-centered selling is about even energy exchange. So you guys that listen to me, follow me, know I talk about even energy exchange all the time. And that's what value-centered sales is about. You giving value and then you being willing to receive that value back through sales, money, payments, clients, etc. So value-centered sales means you're giving value, you're knowing your value, you're owning your value, and it also means you're receiving value. So I just want to be clear that like when we're talking about this, it's not just like how do we give as much value as we possibly can whenever we can. Giving value is great, but to make sales, we have to be willing to receive. So just the basics right there of like what it means to do value-centered selling, what it means to be value-centered. But let's get into, based on that, what is the number one biggest mistake I see people making that's keeping them from getting sales, and that is not having a sales process. Or a better way to say that might be not thinking they need a sales process at the beginning of their business, and so never like getting one in place and never having a clear convertible. I don't think that makes sense here, but it works, a clear converting way to get clients, right? So a lot of people will start out in their business and kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, or they'll start by just putting out a lot of content, and all of that's great. Clearly I'm about giving value, right? Value-centered sales. But if you're doing all of that without a sales process in place, without a plan to convert those to sales, without knowing what model you're leading your clients through, what process you're leading them through, it's a huge mistake, and it's going to leave you spinning your wheels, because what will happen is you'll think that sales and content, or sales and value, or sales and free calls, or whatever, are different things. They're not congruent for you, they're not combined, and they're not integrated, right? And that's when shit gets tough. Because you're like, but I'm doing all this work, and then I feel like over here somebody should be coming to me and telling me they want to buy from me, and I'm super confused why they're not coming together. And it's because you have not set up a clear process to make them come together, right? So you need to know, okay, content is my value stance. Content is where I'm going to give value. So like, what's the next step from there? How am I going to translate that into a process that ultimately gets me sales? Last time when I sold value-centered sales, it's a course I sell, and so the last time I sold it, a couple people had reached out to me and been like, gosh, I can't wait till you do this next time, because I'm not at a place where I need a sales process yet, but I will be by then. And I was like, this is the problem, right? So I was like, no, you need a sales process like day one in your business, right? Like, if you're going to open shop and open a business, you must have a sales process in place, because if not, what happens is that is when we get super frustrated, when we feel super burnt out, when we're doing a lot of work and putting out a lot of things and not seeing the results we want and are super confused, right? I think that a lot of new entrepreneurs think, well, I'll just start by putting stuff out. We'll kind of see what happens. And then, you know, as I see people coming to me or being interested in me, I'll go from there, and then I'll put a sales process in place, right? And then they're like, why aren't people coming to me or like telling me they want to buy from me or asking me that, you know, to tell them about my program or whatever? And it's because you don't have a process in place that leads them to a sale, right? Kate says, yes, just having a simple process is so important because you need to get paid. Exactly, because you have a business. Treating your business like a business, right? Not starting it out like, well, I'll put out these things and then hopefully someone will come to me. Starting it out in that CEO mindset of like, I need to get paid. So when I put out value, I need to get that even energy exchange, right? Barb says, when you say sales process, do you mean sales funnel? Hi, by the way, hi. Yeah, so I think it's similar to a sales funnel, I guess, in the sense of like, we want to know like, so sales funnel would be like, okay, you have like an opt-in and then a mid-level offer and then a high-level offer or whatever, right? That's kind of like your sales funnel. But a sales process is also like, am I selling regularly? Do I know how to sell? Do I know my process for making offers? Do I know how often I'm making offers? Do I know when I'm putting out content directed to sales? Do I know how to tie in my content to sales? So it would be deeper than a sales funnel, I guess, is the way I would explain it, in that it's not just knowing how to funnel clients through, but having a really specific process that moves clients through that funnel and that helps you become engaged with and intentional about selling regularly. So even some people will start by creating a sales funnel and think they know, like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, beautiful. But they still don't really know how to move people through it or how to use it to convert or how to use it to get a yes or how to use it to make sales. So knowing, like, if I put out this piece of content and then I make an offer and then I get people on the phone and then I convert in this way, and then once I convert, this is how I keep them. That's really the kind of steps that we also want to look at in creating a sales process. Because when we have a process that is replicatable and clear and has steps to it and makes sense to us, then we're not in this place where it's like, well, I got a client, but I'm not really sure how I got that one, and like I would love to know how to do that again, right? All of us have been there. Like, there's not a single entrepreneur that wasn't like, I'm super excited I got that client, I'm kind of not sure how. But it's just the idea of like knowing that when I take these steps, when I sell regularly, when I follow my process, sales happen often in my business. And that's really where the power comes from. And that's where, like, not making sales, or people that aren't making sales, are ultimately, or are usually not showing up fully, is like they're doing different pieces. Like, maybe they're putting out some content, maybe they're have a discovery call link on their website, but there's not a clear process that ties how somebody's going to get from one to the other in it. Kate says, don't overcomplicate it. Yeah, I asked a lot of questions there, and it's not like you have to have this super complicated process, right? It's just that you have to know, if I put this out there, how am I moving people to a yes? How am I selling regularly? And what is my process for that? Because if you don't, if you just throw spaghetti at the wall, if you just hope that if you put out a bunch of good stuff that eventually someone's going to bang your door down and ask how to buy from you, that's when frustration comes in, right? Hi, Patty. How you doing? So does anybody have questions about a sales process in general, what that entails, what that looks like, or how to know if you even have one? So maybe that's one I'll just answer really quick. So, like, are you making this mistake? Do you have a process? And so how would you know if you have one? Do you feel like you know in a replicatable fashion how you get clients and how to bring them in, right? So you guys have all heard me talk about relationship building being the number one thing in business, what everything comes back to, what it all comes down to, right? So do you have a process that starts with free content and builds relationships with your audience and eventually translates them into a sale that stays with you? That's what we ultimately want to get to. So starting the sale, like, do you know how you're putting stuff out there, attracting people, getting them interested, getting them on the phone, getting the sale? Do you know how to convert when you're on a call? Do you know how to show up for a sales call? Do you know how to transition a free call into a sales conversation and then keeping the sale? So when someone's a yes, do you know how to make sure they're signing the contract? Do you know how to make sure they're a happy client that feels resonance with you, that didn't just get pressured into a yes on the phone? That would be like knowing your sales process, knowing how to start, get, and keep the sale. And that is not something to wait on until you have more clients or you're higher level or you're bringing in more money or any of those things. That is something to know foundationally in your business how to start. Because if you can't bring in sales in your business, you can't have a business, right? So if you're at a place where you're feeling frustrated about not getting sales, if you're at a place where you're not sure how you got the last couple of clients or how you're really bringing people in, this is something to look at, is what is your process, right? We actually did Lit Up Live coaching last week on sales and selling. I think it's the pin post in the group right now if you guys want to watch that, but basically it's where I live coach a few women on their sales challenges. And one of the women on it was talking about how she doesn't get discovery calls very easily, and how does she get more discovery calls. And some of what we realized in talking through this with her is that, hi Patty, thank you for popping on, no problem. So one of the things that we realized in talking through this with her is that her audience might need a slightly different sales process that creates a little more safety because of the specific challenges that they're dealing with. And so she might create her sales process slightly different than someone else, and it might not lead from like free content directly to a discovery call, but there might be a free call in the middle, or some different ways that she could create safety for her people for her sales process. So that's the other piece of it too, is like not just following someone else's sales process, but knowing what yours is personally in your business, what works for your audience, what's smart based on how you build relationships, based on how your audience responds, based on what their challenges are. So I really want you to think about this. If you're challenged by sales, if you're not getting in as many sales as you want, do you feel like you have a process that supports you in getting there? So you guys know me, I don't think one size fits all for anything. So it's not like there's one right way to do this and you need to do it these 5 ways specifically, but you want to start leaning into creating a process that you know you can do over and over again, that regularly gets you clients and that makes it really easy for you to show up and sell. Because I think that's the other thing, like biggest challenge being sales process, second biggest being just selling, right? The biggest mistake most people are making, besides not having a sales process, is they're just not selling enough. So once you create a sales process, it kind of solves the second piece though, right? Because it helps you sell regularly, effectively, and efficiently because you know your process, instead of like, oh, I should probably sell something today. Oh, I really don't want to because that's uncomfortable and icky, right? A sales process helps you show up and sell. So that is one of the most important, if not the most important thing you can do at the beginning of your business to set yourself up for success. Figure out what your process is, figure out what works for you and your people, and then start building it out. It doesn't mean that, immediately you know your sales process and then you get 20 sales. It's more like you know how to keep showing up in your business, right? You know how to keep building relationships that lead to sales. You know how to keep laying the foundation so you get more sales, right? So really lean into what that might look like for you. If you're having trouble with this, I'm doing a free challenge on this next week, starting Monday, called the Sell Well Challenge. So we're basically setting up your sales foundation. So we're obviously not going to go through the whole process of starting, getting, and keeping the sale. That is 9 different steps over 9 different weeks. So we can't go through all of that in Sell Well, but we are setting up the sales foundation that will set you up for success in starting the sale, getting people on the phone, and figuring out how to sell in a way that serves you and your audience. So if you would love to join us for that, I would be so happy to have you. It is on the pin post in the group. There's a link to it, but the link is www.alituplife.com/sellwell. So if this is something where you're like, I just don't know what my process is, or I kind of have a vague one, but it's really not getting me sales, or I've been pretty lucky and have kind of gotten the sales, but I need a more easy to replicate process, then I would love for you to join us, because it is so, so important to have a sales foundation in your business. It is so important to know that you can replicate getting sales, and it just makes everything easier, makes it more clear how you're going to show up and more clear how you're going to convert. So I'd love to have you join us. Once I jump off, I'll drop the link below. If you guys are watching now or watching the replay and you have any questions, I would love for you to tell me what your questions are on having a sales process and selling well. And I really hope to see you on Monday. I think this is going to be one of the most fun challenges I've ever done, which is saying a lot, because I do a lot of challenges, and I think we're going to have a really good time. So please join me on Monday. Please let me know if you have any questions, and please have a beautiful weekend. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon.